In this video, I'm going to show you one of the most important SEO features that you have to focus on. In fact, it's so important that if you don't do this specific task, all your other SEO efforts might not even work or work very poorly. Now, I never went over this particular task because it's so simple and it's such a basic task that you need to do. And over time, Google will eventually do the whole task by itself. But what I recently found out is that Google doesn't do it fast enough, and sometimes they don't do a very good job in this particular task. So this is very, very important for you to do this. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about indexing your website. Indexing your website means that every single web page that's on your website right now will be a part of Google's search results. In other words, Google might know about your sites, but they don't put it a part of their search index, which means when people search for specific keywords, you might never even come up because you're not a part of Google's index. Seeing how many web pages you have in Google's index, you would type in the word site in your website name. You might want to put www as well. So in this case, I put site www.allstartire.com, and Google is saying that we have 5,120 pages indexed in Google's results. Now, another thing you might want to pay attention to is whatever comes up on the first top 20, those are considered the most important pages that Google sees. In other words, if you're not ranking very well for a page that's supposed to be in the top 10 according to Google Site Index, then you don't have a very good authority with your site, which is usually done through backlink building. Now, I'm not going to get into that particular subject. There's a lot of tutorials about that subject, and we can do it for you, but I'm talking about just indexing, just having all your web pages a part of Google's results. When you type in site yourdomain.com, all your pages will show up here. So let me take you through several steps of how to accomplish this. You can either do this yourself or you can outsource this. We can do that for you as well. So let's start with the basics. Number one is you want to have a Google Webmaster Tools account. There's a tutorial on this on how to get one inside Shopping Cart Elite. Once you get that account, you go to Site Configuration, you go to Sitemaps, and you're going to add your sitemap. Where do you get your sitemap? You're going to go to your website and you're going to go to sitemap in your footer, and you'll scroll all the way down where it says XML Sitemap, and you can see the URL. So in this case, our URL is domainname.com/sitemapgoogle.aspx. This is the same for everybody inside Shopping Cart Elite. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to say All-Star Tire sitemap google.aspx, submit sitemap. So the sitemap has been submitted. Now let's say that we have 3,591 pages, but Google is saying that out of those total pages, only 757 are indexed. Now, if you're asking, well, why does this show 5,000? In this particular website's case, they had an old website which still has those pages cached in Google's index, and the new pages came in. So in other words, out of the 5,000 pages that are currently in Google's index, only 757 are part of Google's index for the new website, and all the other ones are the old website, which eventually needs to be removed, and all the new ones need to be added. A lot of times what you'll find is Google says, okay, thanks for submitting X amount, but we're going to only index 1/3 of it or 1/5 of it. So the question becomes, how do you get 100% of the web pages submitted to be indexed? The sitemap alone will not do the job. It will help Google identify which pages are on your site, but it will not tell Google which pages are important to be a part of the index. So this is where you need to get creative and start indexing your pages. Now, how does Google know which page is important? Google uses backlinks to identify how important is the page to even be considered in the index. So in other words, if you have an article that has 10 links pointing to it, that would be considered an important enough article for the index. Maybe not to rank on the first page of Google, but at least a part of their index. So the key is to create backlinks, no matter what quality they will be, to every one of your URLs, and eventually Google will end up indexing every single one of them. Now, obviously, it would be insane to go 3,000 times 10 links for each URL. We're talking about 30,000 links to be done manually. It's impossible to do that. So what needs to be done is we need to automate this task. Now, again, there is no right or wrong way of doing it. There are better ways and worse ways of doing this particular task. What you need to do is just get the index to match the submitted sitemap. That's all you need to do. How you're going to do this is totally up to you. I'm going to just give you a bunch of different ways that I know of. I'll show you which ways I prefer to do it myself. If you're not going to have time, you can outsource this task to us, but if you will have time, you will do a better job doing this particular task yourself because you have access to the webmaster tools. You can always be on top of your website. This is why we decided to just show you how it's done instead of forcing everybody to just outsource this particular task to us. So, the first way of doing things is we use something called Scrapebox. Scrapebox is, in simple English, I will call this a comment spammer. So you take every single one of your URLs and it's going to go out to different blogs and comment on their blogs providing your URL as the username. It's a little bit complicated to use, especially if you're not very tech savvy. I personally don't use it, even though if you did, it's always a plus because you can just buy this once and keep reusing it over and over again. But this is the tool that would accomplish doing the task. Now, one thing to keep in mind, whatever you do, as of March 15, 2012, Google does not want you to build massive amounts of links using specific rich keywords, which are anchor text, specifically to rank you, right? So they don't want you to use Scrapebox to try to do your SEO and rank websites. But they have nothing against you using a tool like Scrapebox to provide just all of your URLs that exist on your site because you're not trying to rank them. You're simply just trying to make enough popularity against them so Google can treat them as worthy enough to be a part of their index. So the point I'm trying to make is do not use an anchor text when blasting these URLs. Do not use any kind of keyword. Simply just put a URL in there and the URL will be the anchor text. That's it. If you want to get advanced with it, you can start getting creative with anchor texts by putting your company name from the URL only, or putting spaces between them, or putting click here. I would probably recommend that if you want to kind of go advanced with this whole thing, you need to get Majestic SEO and you need to put all the big guys who are ranking really well into Majestic SEO and see what kind of quality links they have, quantity of them, and what anchor tags they're using. And you'll probably see a lot of them having click here or just visit this website or whatever. But in any case, it doesn't matter. We're not ranking the website. We're simply trying to index it. So just the URL will work perfectly. I've done this many times and it works great. So just the URL is fine. Scrapebox is one of them. Now, I personally don't use Scrapebox. What I do is I go to a company called Fiverr where you can buy anything for $5, and I type in Scrapebox, and I'm basically going to spend anywhere between $20 to $100 to do the job, and anytime I need to do more, I'll hire more. Now, I'm not going to do all of them at once. I'll do it slowly. So I'll hire one guy, pay him $5, see where it gets me, pay another guy $5. Now, some of these guys, their auto-approve blogs that they use with Scrapebox, they're not quality links. They're like no-follow links, which don't even pass anything. Like they basically tell Google, don't follow this link, which kind of makes the whole thing pointless. Kind of gets you thinking, why am I paying $5 to try to index my site if that particular blog and all the links that I'm going to get from all those blogs are basically saying, don't even go to this site, which is referred to as no-follow link. Again, I have a preferred list of Fiverr people that I use. I don't want to put them in this video because by the time you watch it, they might be gone. If you really want to get a preferred Fiverr list, you can ask me or you can just experiment yourself. Again, it's only $5, so if you invest $100 into this whole project to get every single URL indexed, it's going to be worth it for you regardless. And from what I've heard, there's two sides of the story on is the no-follow link good for you or not? Some people saying yes because it makes it seem natural. Some people are saying no. So I don't know the answer for sure, but it's not going to hurt. Again, do not use an anchor text. Do not use a keyword when doing this. You will get yourself penalized. I can almost guarantee you that you will get yourself penalized if you use an anchor text. In other words, you're going to pay $5 with an anchor text. In about a week, you're going to get a letter from Google saying you have unnatural backlink building and you're penalized. Now, so far, as of today, as I'm submitting regular URLs, I'm not getting any notices from Google. And theoretically, I don't see why they would send it to me because if it was that easy to spike up the links for someone and get them penalized, then you can actually use this against your competitor, which you can actually use it if you use the anchor text and use the Scrapebox. But again, it's a different story. We're not talking about that. This is the second way. So instead of using Scrapebox, you hire someone on Fiverr to do the job. Third way. This is what we use inside Shopping Cart Elite when you go to the back office and then click on SC URL submission. We end up submitting the URLs for you. This is how you outsource it. And we used to use this company here, which is linkless.me. Their pro version, which is $55 per month, is okay. However, it can't handle big quantities for every single Shopping Cart Elite client, so we're going to be discontinuing that, and we're going to be doing these submissions manually ourselves through our preferred Fiverr channels and possibly some other ideas as we're going to come up with. But for a single website, it doesn't work too bad. Maybe you want to partner with some other people to get this account and see how it works and possibly use them. There's a few other companies like this. My opinion is Scrapebox and Fiverr can do the job whenever you need it. And once you're done with it, you're done with it. You don't have to keep going with it. I don't see a point of signing up for a service constantly unless you're constantly adding new products. Because if you are adding new products, then sure, that might be a good idea to add products and 2 days get them all indexed in Google. So this is the few different methods that you can use to index your URLs. Now the final thing I want to show you is how do you actually get all the URLs that are part of your sitemap. So you can have a nice friendly format of this. We may have it in Shopping Cart Elite soon under SEO where you can export your links. Most likely it's going to be under the SC URL submission. On the menu there's going to be a button to export all the links. But today what you can do is you can go to your website and then you can take this same XML sitemap, right click on it and say save as, save it to your desktop, then rename instead of ASPX it should be .xml. You can open it using Microsoft Excel. So this is what it ends up looking like. And this is all you really need. This is all the URLs you need. There's 3,592 URLs. It includes everything from APS articles to your personal articles to product pages and categories and popular search. So it has a lot of stuff. And I think you should really pay attention to this sitemap because it will grow as your website gets busier. Even if you don't add products, the popular search, which is the visitor-generated SEO search, will grow. The APS articles will grow if you're going to get more applications. But if you're adding new products, definitely pay attention to your sitemap because your sitemap grows and you can go and submit it to Google and then start indexing the same URL. So this is how you would get all the URLs, and then you simply copy and paste them, or you can save it as a CSV file and give it to somebody in Fiverr, or give it to whoever else you want to hire to use Scrapebox or some other automated service. But this is how you would get every single one of them. Again, last warning, no anchor text, simply URL. Literally, just copy and paste this URL, give it to them, let them just put it anywhere they can to increase the popularity of it. After about 10 links pointing to that specific URL, Google will index it for sure. So at the end of the day, you are going to end up with every one of your pages indexed in Google, and you will be able to verify it through Webmaster Tools by going here. And as you're submitting these things through Fiverr or Scrapebox or wherever else, you're going to see this number increase. And when you get to this number where the submitted will equal to the indexed, you've done your job really well. This will definitely help you. Now, the last tip I want to include is this. Google will probably not include your indexed URL if it finds it to be a supplement of another website. So if you were the number one guy, meaning you're the first person to come and shop included with your data, you benefit from being the first one with the unique data with no other websites having supplemental data, and you end up ranking every single URL. And we've done this for a client of ours, which is Newport Motorsports.com, and they went from doing 0 sales to about $30,000 per month using the same method that I just showed you. And they did no SEO, they did nothing. The only thing they did was take their content, put it on Shopping Cart Elite. We did the indexing for them the same way I just showed you, and we ended up getting 136,000 pages of their products. It was a really large feed, indexed in Google in a 3-day time frame. Because that happened, now they have all their pages ranked, and anything you search for will probably end up coming up really high on the first page, just because it's a pretty niche market for this particular product. If you're, let's say, a wheel client who happens to be competing with many other wheel clients in Shopping Cart Elite, if you don't have unique content, then you're probably not going to rank. Or if you will rank, this is what's going to end up happening. You're going to do Scrapebox after Scrapebox after Scrapebox, and eventually you're going to end up with 10 links pointing to every one of your URLs. Now the next guy is going to say, why are my links not getting indexed? So that he's going to keep doing it and get 11 links. And he's going to end up getting the indexed URLs high, and you're going to get them eventually depleted from Google. And then you're going to come back and say, why did my indexed links deplete? I need to do more. And you're going to basically be fighting with the other Shopping Cart Elite guys because you all have the same descriptions, which is a problem. I mentioned this many times before, and nobody seems to really understand why I advise you to do certain things, or maybe there's just way too many things for you to do. But the bottom line is, by having no content or the same content as every other guy will make it really hard for you to index your URLs, which means if your URL is not indexed, how are you supposed to get organic traffic if you don't even have your URL a part of Google? And even if you do, well, the 10 other guys might have a better authority website, might have done more Fiverr scrapeboxing and links to their URLs than you, and now they're higher than you. So if you want to do this once and not do this like literally every week, you need to have unique content. My advice, of course, would be write good content for every one of your brands and, make it unique so you're the only one who has that content. Or if you don't want to spend that much time on it, then you can use the spin text, which is, we have tutorials on it, you can read about it, but basically we have a text spinner, or you can use the best spinner, which is thebestspinner.com. Use that text spinner to do the job, and then you go to manage products, and you're going to find all of the products that you want to rank for. So let's just say we're going to do the front bumpers for the body kits, and let's say they all need content and you're too lazy to go and write it yourself. So you're going to highlight all, you're going to do bulk quick edit, you're going to go to spin description, and you're going to put a spun description in here. click an HTML editor and put a spun description in here. Again, there's tutorials on how to do it, but basically what's going to happen is you're going to put a description in there, you're going to spin it, and it's going to create different versions of each description for each product. And if you wrote this whole thing yourself once, then you just made yourself a shortcut on how you can add description to all your products, and you're making yourself unique to Google. If you're doing wheels or tires, this is a good idea. But if you're doing body kits and all kinds of other parts or whatever else you're doing, you need to invest into this. This is a business, and copywriting is investing into it. If you just don't have the resources to do it, then take it a product at a time. There's nothing wrong with that. Take it a product at a time or a brand at a time and just do that, one at a time. Of course, you can take the shortcut and just keep doing more Scrapebox indexing for your URLs and fighting with each other. I mean, that's always a way out, but long term should be unique, good content. And not only content for the search engine to make you non-supplement, but actually content where it'll convince your customer to make the purchase. So the description itself will be really good. So there you go. This also applies to Yahoo and Bing and every other search engine. So whenever you're going to do this kind of scrapeboxing or indexing, you're going to benefit every other search engine. And to see if you actually are having results doing what you're doing with indexing, if you go to dashboard and click on website activity, and after you do a submission, you see a huge spike in search engine spiders. This is an indicator that because your links are all over the web all of a sudden, and the spiders are identifying them and finding them, you're going to end up getting spiders coming in to every single one of your pages the very next day. So if you have 100,000 pages, you can get no spiders or few, like 100 coming in, and all of a sudden you're going to get a huge spike with 100,000 spiders come in, and obviously they're coming in to index your site. Now, if they come in, and let's say this, a lot of them would be from Google, and you wait a week or a few days, and a week would be the most, and those URLs are still not indexed, then you take it the next run. You keep doing it over and over again until you get every one of your URLs indexed. So this is the end of the video, and I hope that you will take this very seriously and go and index your website. Go check what you have so far, and if you find yourself that you're not indexed anywhere, go and index your website.